Good morning, everyone. I'm Louis De Palma from the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about the Discoverability Network and provide a brief overview about the AODA. As you folks know, the AODA was enacted a number of years ago, and the intent of the AODA is to have a fully accessible Ontario by the year 2025. The slide that I'm showing on the screen now is about the Discoverability Network. I'll just give you a little brief history about the Discoverability Network and how it came to be. When we first started conducting workshops on the AODA, we noticed quite quickly that businesses really needed talent. Even surveys that we had conducted at the Ontario Chamber of Commerce through the Ontario Economic Report every year showed us that one of the top issues that businesses were facing was that they couldn't find the talent that they needed to prosper and grow. So, when we took a look at where is the net new talent coming from, the net new talent really is coming through immigration. Given our population rates, we have a birth rate of roughly, 1.5, 1.6. You need about 2.2, 2.3 just to stay even. So really that net new is coming through immigration. And as we know, we can't meet all the needs of business just through immigration. So what we thought we should do is take a look at other demographics in our community that maybe aren't as engaged in the labor market as they should be. And certainly persons with disability is a rich talent pool that we could tap into as businesses to help meet the needs that we have to ensure that our businesses do prosper and our communities prosper. So that's why the Discoverability Network was put together. What is it? It's a job matching platform. There's algorithms in the platform. Job seekers come in, they put in their resumes, and businesses come in from the employer side, put in their job ads, and the job ads then find the job seeker. The job seeker then can choose whether they wish to apply or not apply for the job that is pushed at them. There's also free training, and the training includes a number of aspects of hiring, recruiting, disclosure. It talks about building inclusive workspaces. It talks about the process to arrive at an accommodation, so one of your employees need that. And there's also networking. We also provide a lot of networking events. Obviously with COVID right now, our events are virtual, but what we're seeking to do is to connect those employers to those job seekers. So the AODA, as I mentioned earlier, fully accessible by the year 2025 is the intent of the Act. Really, it has 5 key areas. These are the rules that businesses and organizations must follow to remove barriers for people with disabilities. It really applies to all organizations in Ontario, provided that those organizations have at least one employee. So here are the 5 standards that the Act speaks to. First one is customer service, information and communications, employment, transportation, and the design of public spaces. So before I get into the actual standards and give you a brief overview of them, I just want to highlight what are barriers. What are some of the barriers that people face, when it comes to employment? One of them is certainly information and communications. It's really important that whenever we try to communicate with anyone, whether the person has a disability or really anyone that you're communicating with, it's really important that we convey that information in a way which is understood. Then the information can come back to us in a way that we can understand it, because if we don't have that two-way dialogue, then it's hard to understand really what the needs of both the employer are and the job seeker or the employee. Another barrier is attitudes. Attitudes really is something that, when I talk to people, it comes down to misconceptions. Really, it's really the need to have more knowledge about persons with disabilities and the talent that they can bring to businesses. And that's why another reason why we started Discoverability. We really wanted to increase awareness. We wanted to showcase this talent pool. And most of you would know that there's about 20% of the population has a disability. So when you take a look at those numbers and you take a look at the numbers in our colleges and universities, when you're talking about 50 to 60,000 The students in our colleges and universities right now that have self-declared as having some form of a disability, you can see that this is a rich talent pool. So it's something that we need to be more aware of and learn how to tap into this talent pool to meet our business requirements. Another barrier could be technology or the lack of technology. You know, sometimes individuals need some specialized equipment in order to provide their services to an employer. And if that technology is not available, it can create a barrier. The other one that I also always talk about is organizational policies. You know, we all have policies and practices in our workplaces. And what we need them because we need to organize our work. Sometimes what happens is those policies and practices that we have unintended consequences, and they may inadvertently put up a barrier. So we always ask companies to take a look at those policies and practices to make sure that there really isn't an inadvertent barrier that's been put up. Obviously, the one that's really obvious to all of us is architectural design. You know, if the building isn't designed in a certain way, then certain people with disabilities may not have access to the building. So that can also be a pretty significant barrier for individuals. On the first standard here, as you can see on the slide, what is the customer service standards? It's all about providing services in an equitable manner to everyone in our community, including people with disabilities. So as an organization, you're obligated to create a customer service policy. The customer service policy is to speak to service animals and support persons. You know, you need to notify customers if you have a temporary disruption in your services. There's a training component there, extremely important that you train your staff on the types of disabilities and also how to interact with individuals. Now, this speaks to all kinds of customers, right? You know, as a business, what's the number one thing that we want to do? You know, we want to have good customer service. So this is all that this is all about. It's all about good customer service and interacting with persons with a disability in a way that they can receive that customer services. It also indicates that you have to have a customer service feedback requirement. And if you're asked, you should have some accessible formats in order to support that communication that I spoke about earlier. Information and communication standard. This is the standard that really speaks to how do we receive and share information so that persons with disabilities can access that information. As you can see there on the slide, there's many ways that you can communicate. The Act itself does not specify how to communicate. It says that you have to create an accessible format to communicate. So that's something that you have to make some decisions with. How do you know what the best way to communicate? You know, I use the acronym ATP, ask the person. You know, there's no better way to figure out how to communicate with someone. You ask the person and you can figure out the best form of communication that makes sense for both you and the individual. When it comes to websites, there is a requirement, and that requirement is this, that as of January of this year, actually, all companies, whether private or not-for-profits with 50 or more staff, their websites must comply, as you see there, with WCAG level 2 AA. So that's a really important thing. So if your website does not comply to that standard, please take a look and see what you need to do to make those adjustments. There is a reporting requirement. That reporting requirement is on June 30th of this year, where companies will be asked to report on how they've progressed in implementing various aspects of the Act. Employment standard really sets out those requirements for businesses and not-for-profits in the whole employment spectrum, whether it's recruiting, whether it's providing information, whether it's talent and performance management, whether it's how we communicate to employees and prospective employees. We're also obligated, if you have 50 employees or more, to have written and formal accommodation plans. Now, the Act, again, does not specify what you need to do to accommodate or how to accommodate, provide an accommodation for specific individuals. What it does specify is the process that you need to follow to arrive at that accommodation. Okay, again, the most important thing is ask the person, find out what their needs are, and then figure out how to arrive at an accommodation that makes sense for both the company and the individual. You also must have a return to work process that deals with individuals that are off work because of a disability. Accessible spaces and buildings. So with respect to, this is a question that comes up a lot when we're doing presentations, about, what does the AODA say about accessible spaces and buildings? The AODA speaks to service counters, it speaks to waiting areas, and it speaks to outdoor spaces and parking lots. What it does not do, it does not do what the Ontario Building Code does. So the Building Code really specifies what your building should and shouldn't have from an accessibility standpoint, whether we're talking ramps, whether we're talking washrooms, whether we're talking power doors and signage, that is all comes under the Ontario Building Code. Now with the code speaks to new construction, okay? It doesn't speak to existing buildings. However, what I would like to add to that is if you're involved in a renovation in your current building or location that you're in, when you go and you seek your building permit, your local building department will tell you whether that renovation is sufficient, is below the threshold where you will have to meet the latest building code. So if you're doing something which is minor, for instance, at one point I owned a restaurant. What we did is we went into the restaurant, we changed the carpeting essentially, and when we went to get our building permit, we did not have to upgrade to the latest building permit. However, a few years later, when we did a major overhaul of that space and we went to get our permit, we were obligated to upgrade our facilities to the latest Ontario Building Code. So just have regard for that. Check with your local building department, when you're doing any renovations. But again, the code speaks to new, not existing spaces. Okay, on the website as well, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what's there. We do have a hiring roadmap. So if you go to discoverability.network, you can get the roadmap. What does the roadmap provide? It's a very quick 5-6 step process, which helps businesses understand where to find the talent. It helps business understand how to conduct interviews, onboarding sessions, provides additional information on accommodations. And also it talks about promoting success. So as you hire persons with disabilities and you have successes, it's extremely important to celebrate those successes in your organization. This slide here just speaks to, how do you get to the website, discoverability.network. When you get there, you'll see there's a couple of buttons. If you're a business, please click on the business button and it'll take you to all the information that a business needs to hire from the demographic. It's got business cases on there. There's videos. It gives you examples. But there's also many, many templates, by the way. You know how I spoke about the AODA and all the various things that a company is obligated to comply with? Well, most of the things that I talked about are actually on the website. There's templates there. You can take the templates, you can take a look at the templates, and then just modify them for your own use in your own business. So there's a lot of help there. I really encourage you to go to discoverability.network to get that additional information. Here's some other places where you can get resources. As you can see, you can go to the Ontario Accessible Employment Standards there at ontario.ca. There's a website that talks about accessibility laws, and then you can see Access Forward and the Employer Helpline. So again, you want to learn more, discoverability.network, or you can contact Lisa. The information is there. So you can see, we would like to thank, both the province and the federal government for supporting this initiative, because without them, obviously, we wouldn't be able to continue to provide the services through the Discoverability Network to both employers and to job seekers. So thank you very much, and have a nice day.